Tatiana and Volodya got married 3 years ago. Her husband worked in the police, but Tatiana never really delved into the details of his service. At first, everything was like a fairy tale. But over time, the passion subsided. Tatiana began to notice that her husband was increasingly staying late at work. He came home tired, silent all the time. He answered all questions in monosyllables. He had a lot of things to do, something complicated there. And he himself was constantly hanging out on the phone, texting someone. One evening, Tatiana could not stand it. "Volodya, can't you talk to me normally? You've become completely distant from me lately." The husband sighed. "Tanya, what are you making up? It's just a complicated case. You know yourself, my job is not easy." "Yes, but you used to find time for me too," Tatiana shrugged. "And now, even on weekends, he's buried in his phone." "Well, I'm sorry, darling," Volodya said, throwing up his hands. "I'll try to pay more attention to you." But nothing has changed. Tatiana increasingly caught herself thinking that her husband was hiding something. Maybe he was having an affair on the side. This thought made her feel uneasy. No, it can't be. They're doing well, and the kids are fine. But Tatiana still had her suspicions. And once she tried to check Volodya's phone while he was in the shower. But the screen was locked, and she didn't know the password. This only strengthened her suspicions. They had no secrets from each other before. Tatiana complained to her friend. Svetka sighed and advised, "Listen, keep an eye on him. Set up a hidden camera at home while he's not there. You'll find out what he's doing there in your absence." Tatiana even took a sharp breath. She couldn't even imagine that she could take such a step. "What are you saying? How am I supposed to record my husband? What nonsense." "What do you want?" Sveta chuckled. "Then you'll suffer. And so, if he has nothing to hide, then there's nothing to worry about. And if something is fishy, so it's better to know the truth." Tatiana hesitated for a long time, but eventually made up her mind. She bought a small camera, a very simple one, but it should be suitable for her purposes. It looked like a regular charger. All she had to do was install it, put it on a nightstand somewhere, and that's it. And then an opportunity came up. Her boss suggested that Tatiana go on a business trip to another city for a week. Usually the woman refused such trips. She didn't want to go far from her children, and there were always some things to do at home. And they had enough money anyway. But now she agreed without thinking. In the evening, she casually told her husband, so that he would know for sure that he would be alone in the apartment. "Volodya, I'm being sent on a business trip next week. For 7 days." "Really?" Volodya was surprised and sighed. "Well, I'll manage without you somehow." "Maybe you'll go to your mom and the kids?" Tatiana asked hopefully. "You wanted to?" "Then she'll be sure that there was no cheating in their marriage." "Why?" Volodya frowned. "I have a lot of work. No time for trips now." "Okay, whatever you want," Tatiana sighed. She didn't want to cause all this fuss, but apparently she'll have to. While Volodya was in the shower, Tatiana quickly installed the camera in the bedroom. She hid it among the other wires on the nightstand. Her heart was pounding like crazy. What if her husband noticed? But everything went smoothly. "Well, I'm going. Don't miss me there." She kissed Volodya goodbye. "Go ahead. Have a nice trip." Her husband smiled. "Call me if anything happens." Tatiana was beside herself the whole way to the airport. Had she done the right thing? What if Volodya found the camera? What if he really saw something that was better left unnoticed? She calmed down a bit on the plane. Okay, there was no turning back. 7 days would fly by, and then we'd see. However, the first days of the business trip were relatively calm. Tatiana threw herself into work, talked to her colleagues. She didn't even look at the camera footage. She was either afraid or had no time. But on the 4th day, curiosity finally got the better of her. In the evening, she returned to the hotel and opened the app. She connected to the camera. At first, nothing interesting. An empty bedroom. Volodya occasionally comes in to change clothes or take something. Tatiana was about to turn off the broadcast when suddenly a woman appeared in the frame. A young blonde in a short dress. Everything inside her broke down. So that's what it was. Her husband really was cheating on her. Tatiana was about to throw the phone against the wall, but then something unexpected happened. The blonde walked around the room in a businesslike manner, opened the closet, and began methodically sorting through things. She took out some kind of box, turned it over in her hands. Then she went to the chest of drawers and began pulling out the drawers one by one. "What the hell?" Tatiana muttered. "What is that girl looking for there?" Volodya entered the bedroom at that moment. The blonde, noticing him, jumped away from the chest of drawers. "Oh, I was looking for this," A towel, she babbled. Yeah, right. In the underwear drawers. Volodya grinned. Come on, put your hands behind your back. He deftly twisted the blonde and put handcuffs on her. Gotcha, my dear. We've been hunting your gang for a long time. Tatoyana watched what was happening, dumbfounded. What the hell's going on in her bedroom? At that moment, 2 more men ran into the room. Comrade Major, the perimeter is clear. We can take the detainee out. Great, guys, take her away. I'll be right there, Volodya commanded. When everyone left, he sat down heavily on the bed and rubbed his eyes tiredly. Tatyana turned off the broadcast, unable to believe what she saw. Only one question was spinning in her head. What just happened? The rest of the trip passed in a fog. Tatyana kept replaying the scene she had just seen in her head. Why did Volodya arrange the arrest right in their home? Who was this blonde? And most importantly, why didn't her husband tell her anything? When it was time to go back, Tatyana was nervous the whole way home, not knowing how to behave with her husband. Should she admit that she had set up the camera, or pretend that she knew nothing? Volodya met her with a bouquet of flowers. Welcome back, darling. How was your trip? Fine, muttered Tatyana. And how are you? As usual, shrugged Volodya. Work, home, work again. That's it? Tatyana couldn't resist. You don't want to tell me anything else? Volodya looked closely at his wife. Tanya, what's wrong? Volodya, forgive me, of course. Tatyana told him everything. How she set up the camera, and how she saw everything. The husband frowned, but decided not to judge his wife for now. Okay, he sighed. If it's so important for you to know. They settled down on the sofa, and Volodya began to tell. Remember, I said we had an important case? So, we were tracking a gang of burglars. Very clever guys, we couldn't catch them, so we decided to go undercover. Why didn't you tell me anything? The husband sighed. I didn't want to worry you. And the operation was classified secret. We decided to set a trap. There were already some suspicions, so we decided that I would go to meet this one. One of their tactics is to gain men's trust, and then they rob. So I met this one, and then we prepared. Well, and here we are, caught. It turns out that you saw it all yourself. Tatyana listened with her mouth open, and she was making things up. She sighed. And I thought you were cheating on me. That's why I installed a camera to track you. I would be angry with you now, Volodya grinned. But I'm too happy that we finally sorted out the case. If we put pressure on that little brat, she'll give up all her own. Forgive me, Tatyana apologized. Oh, come on, what can you do? Volodya smiled. The main thing is that everything is cleared up. They were silent, looking at each other. Then Volodya said, Listen, let's have a romantic dinner. Let's celebrate the successful completion of the case and your return. Let's do it, Tatyana smiled back, and let's have no more secrets. Deal! Volodya laughed and pulled his wife towards him.